The Emperor and the Empress helplessly watch their son, Zhou Yuan, as he fights for his life. After a lot of struggle and coughing fit, Yuan slowly begins to regain himself. The old priest waiting on Yuan tells his parents that his destined disaster, meant to occur every 3 years, has passed, so he should be out of danger for another 3 years. The Emperor and the Empress become physically relieved, but they worry that Yuan is yet to develop his 8 principles at the age of 13, when most children have already developed theirs. The Empress begins to weep, because even though Yuan has the life of a saint dragon, his life has always been difficult. Since his 8 principles are yet to develop, Yuan could be in danger of death in another 3 years, but the old priest consoles the Empress to stop crying. Yuan gains consciousness and demands the truth about what was happening to him from his parents. His father decides that since it is about Yuan, it is about time he reveals the truth to him. 15 years ago, the dynasty was powerful, but they were betrayed by the Wu dynasty, which made the Zhao fall to their current state. Now, there was a prophecy that must be fulfilled through Yuan. The day Yuan was born, there was an unusual appearance in the sky, signifying that he has the life of a saint dragon. At the same time he was born, the Wu Empress also birthed a boy and a girl. People who are born at the same time have the same destiny, and the Wu family plans to take over Zhou and their family dragon. But they have kept quiet for many years because of Zhao Yuan. For over a century, the Wu family have shared a family conspiracy to steal the luck and destiny of the Saint of Dragon Yuan. The old man continues the story, and Yuan listens attentively to him. During the battle, King Wu entered Zhou City to threaten the lives of trillions of people because he wanted Yuan's luck. To protect Yuan, the emperor fought with King Wu, but the emperor lost the fight in one arm. King spared the emperor's life on Yuan's account and vowed that they will not attack the Zhao family for a century, so that they will later be able to steal Yuan's destiny smoothly. Yuan's mother breaks down in tears as they remember the horrible and unforgivable event that hurt their pride and made them insignificant. The old man begs the empress to remain calm because of her blood pressure and tries to keep her stable. Since the incident, the empress became impaired and they have had to give her blood yearly. Because of that, she has lost 36 years out of her longevity, and she has less than 10 years left. Yuan becomes greatly angry because of his mother's situation and the other things the Zhao family has made them go through, and he swore to take revenge on them. Now that Zhou Yuan has finally learned the truth, he has an aspiration to change the current society, and to do that, he needs power. The people who truly hold the power are the Yuan masters. They train with their 8 principles to absorb power. But Yuan is unable to develop his 8 principles because of the poison he has, and this stops him from becoming a Yuan master. His father sees that he is determined not to give up and promises to use all his might to support him on the condition that he will not give up the study of Yuan literature. Zhou Yuan agrees, and his father asks him to accompany him to a ritual in 3 days. Yuan attends the Zhou Academy, where kids of every social status are admitted as long as they give talent. The teacher instructs everyone to practice the Yuan imprint by channeling their soul. Yuan excels at Yuan imprints because his soul surpasses ordinary people, so he is a level higher than the others. While his teacher commends him, others are eager to practice the 8 principles because it is more important. The students murmur and gossip among themselves in class as they wait for the bell. Not long after, the bell rings to signify the end of class. Su Wei gains Yuan's attention and meets him for a chat. Wei informs him that through his help, her grandfather is now recovering and would like to host him in their home. A year earlier, Wei's grandfather was seriously ill, and they could not afford treatment. Every pharmacy refused Wei's plea for help till she met Yuan. He saved her from the rain and took her to a pharmacy. Later, Yuan found out that Wei had the talent for mediation and helped her to gain access to his family mansion. There, she passed the first principle and dedicated herself to learning, so that one day she may repay his kindness. Yuan asks about her progress, since she has advanced to more levels since then, and she sadly tells him that she lost her spot at the upcoming exam to Shilin. Yuan challenges Shilin to another contest so that he can get Wei back into the exam, and Shilin requests for Yuan's jade. A huge crowd of spectators gathered at the mansion practice ground to watch the match, because Shilin wanted people to see how he would humiliate Yuan. People whispered among themselves and wondered how Yuan would contest Shilin, who has passed the second principle when Yuan is yet to pass anyone. Wei wonders how Yuan is going to pull off a fight against Shilin and vows not to be careless in future, so that others will not get into trouble because of her. Yuan cannot back down, if not he will become the prince that fled the battlefield, which will be an insult. so he decided to face the battle. Shilin speaks arrogantly to Yuan that he became irrational because of a woman and that he will be embarrassed. He attempts to strike Yuan, but he blocks it easily with the Yuan mark painted on his hands. Yuan tells him that not passing a principle does not make him a weakling, and Shilin decides to activate both principles to show off. Everyone in the crowd began to beg the boys to end the fight because they felt Yuan was going to get hurt since he is yet to activate any principles. But they paid no mind to everyone. Yuan tells Shilin that he had the opportunity to attack the first time, so will be the one to attack in the second round. Even though the Yuan imprint is considered a difficult one to pull off, Yuan activates 3 imprints at the same time and strikes Shilin. Shilin crashes to the floor, making Yuan the winner of the contest. Yuan gives back Wei's exam pass to her and cautions her not to get into trouble again. Wei is concerned about his hand, but he dismisses it and tells her to prepare hard for the upcoming exams and that he will provide any resources she needs. Wei promises to do her best because Yuan has already helped her enough and walks off to the library to get some books. Yuan hopes that he will get some help at the ancestral hall where his father will take him because he is tired of studying Yuan imprints only. Cheek and Ang Hu observe Yuan through the fence. Yuan sees Cheek Hood and recognizes him as the person that has been making some kind of trouble within the estate for the past years, and speculates that he may have something to do with Shilin. Cheek sees Yuan's performance, and he is surprised that the prince can use Yuan imprints, but Ang Hu dismisses him, because Yuan imprints are just cheap tricks. Ang Hu suggests that they look out for Wei, and see if they can recruit her to their side. The next day, Zhou Yuan and his father went for the ritual. At the family temple, his father takes him to the secret room full of luck to see if he can unlock the blessings, and Yuan enters a circle with Yuan imprints and begins to say his desires. Before his father's eyes, he disappears. 1 minute, Zhou Yuan is at the sacred altar. The next minute, he is thrown out by an enormous light into an unknown place. Yuan tries to find his bearings and understand his surroundings because he cannot see any humans. He looks around and finds a line figure by the trees. Yuan humbly approaches her and introduces himself. He apologizes for intruding and asks her for directions, but she does not answer him. Rather, she speaks to herself that her grandfather was right, that someone will visit them and leave with her pet. The girl moves through the beautiful forest and Zhou Yuan follows slowly behind her. He admires her dog pet and thinks it is adorable that the dog pet looks back at him with anger. The little pet destroys a rock with its teeth, and Zhou Yuan finds the strength of the dog pet adorable. The girl tells him that if he seeks luck, he should follow her, and he hurries over to catch up with her. She takes him into the ancient forest to meet her grandpa, who is dressed like he has been waiting for Yuan. He looks pitifully at Yuan and tells him that even with his dragon aura, his luck was stolen and he was poisoned. Zhao Yuan discerns that the man is not just an old man, but one that is powerful and can probably cure him if he can see through his problems with just one look. Zhou Yuan humbly greets him and introduces himself as a member of the Zhao family. The old man reveals that he knows why Yuan has come to him, and he has the power to restore his principles, but he asks Yuan why he should help him. Yuan tells him that he believes there is a reason why he was able to reach that place, and that means the man must have some connections with his ancestors. The old man promises to restore Yuan's stolen principles on the condition that he will protect his granddaughter Yoyo. Yoyo protests and her grandfather tells her that he must go away, and she is not permitted to come along, so she needs protection. Yuan agrees to the condition and vows that whatever will harm Yoyo has to go through him first. Pleased with the vow, the old man began the process, and a black substance began to cover Zhou Yuan's body. At first, he thinks that the man is trying to kill him, and he cries out, but soon, a bright light envelopes him, and his principles were awakened. As a kid, Zhou Yuan watched other kids awaken their first principle excitedly, but he did not have the opportunity. He was trained properly, so he was never jealous of the other kids, but he wished to have what they had. And now, his greatest wish has come to pass. The old man tells him that though his abilities have been awakened, they are still blocked. He explains all that Yuan needs to know to him, and he tells the man that he is happy he is no longer without a principle, so he will train harder than the others to attain his merits. Yuan learns that due to some special circumstances, Yoeo cannot also awaken her principles, but she is very skilled at Yuan imprints. He tells Yuan that Yuan imprints are not some cheap tricks, but they are intricate and highly efficient. Yuan bargains with the man to grant him luck so that he can protect his granddaughter more efficiently, and Yoeo equally pleads on his behalf. The man tells Yuan that he does not reveal his knowledge to outsiders, and Yuan smartly requests to be his student by calling him master. The old man agreed and taught him the strengthening and chaotic god techniques. Yuan feels the impact of the techniques as they flow through his mind and concludes that the man is powerful. Afterwards, the man gives him a legendary Yuan imprint brush. The old man explains the importance of the legendary Yuan imprint brush to Zhou Yuan. He tells Yuan that there are 3 levels of the brush, from the normal to the godly and the heavenly, and the legendary one he has given Yuan. Though it looks small and weak, it was the heavenly Yuan imprint brush he used to fight battles for many years. Yuan examines it and sees Yuan imprints on the body of the brush. The old man tells him that when he gets to a point where he begins to feed it, all 9 imprints will awaken and its former heavenly standards will come alive. Yuan thanks the old man for his kindness and asks for his name. He learns that the old man is Kang Yuan, and he has 2 other disciples. Kang Yuan tells Yoyo to instruct Yoyo and tells her that in future, she will understand some things. He gives Yoyo a seal and tells her that if the jade begins to burn, it means they have found her. He tells Yuan not to let her unlock the seal and use the power, if not there will be trouble. Kang Yuan tells Zhou Yuan to remember his promise and practice every day. Since Yoyo has been with him for many years, she can always answer any questions she might have. With those instructions, he sends them away so that he can face the battle ahead. Yuan returns from the alternate dimension with Yoyo and her pet, and he requests sometimes his father to become stable. His father has been worried about him, so seeing him back in one piece made him extremely relieved. Yuan breaks the news that he has regained his principles, and his father becomes happy. He introduces Yoyo and explains all that happened in the alternate dimension, and his father knows that they have to pay back what Kang Yuan has done for them. The emperor leads them out of the ancestral hall to go back home, and on their way, Yuan tries to console Yoyo about her grandfather. Yoyo tells him that she is okay, and she knows people were targeting her, and her grandfather distracted them to help them escape. She vowed to herself that if anything happens to her grandfather, she will avenge him. At the Zhao mansion, the empress hugs Yuan passionately and cries over his return and his awakened principles. The emperor tells her that Yuan will need to be released for practice, and she finally lets go. She asks for a room to be prepared for Yoyo, and just then, Chu Tianyan, the Zhou mansion leader and the emperor's trusted soldier, comes to inform him of the activities in the academy and how Qi has been causing problems. The emperor learns that King Qi has been supporting his son, Qi, which made him angry. He asks Xu Tianyan about the most promising student in the academy to do well on the exam, and Tianyan tells him that Qi has unlocked his 6th principle, so his chances are good. Yuan tells his father that Wei has unlocked her 3rd principle, and she has also been trying her best. He informs Xu Tianyan that they are both interested in going to the JIT Institute, which makes the adults tease him. He tells his father that they are only friends, but Qi has been following her around because he is trying to court her. After concluding the meeting, Chu Tian leaves, and the emperor reminds Yuan that he starts his training the next day. The next morning, Yuan was served an assorted dish that will aid his training process, and he invites Yoyo to join him, but she refuses. His father offers her wine, and to repay his kindness, she gives her jade to the empress to aid her healing. Yuan finishes his meal and starts practice by gathering the dragon's breath and feeling his body with energy from heaven and earth. He cannot go straight into practicing how to fight yet, because he has to practice his dragon breath technique first. Yuan starts his practice with the 98 hidden exercise technique within the dragon's breath. The idea is to train the human flesh and blood so that they can mimic the dragon's breath. Yuan begins to mimic the moves he has memorized, and he reenacts the 98 moves countless times, but with each one, he feels that something is missing. Yuan thinks that he may have been too slow during the moves, and he starts another round of practice again. But after the 3rd time, he is unable to feel the Yuan energy, and he realizes that he may have been practicing the wrong way. Just then, he sees Yoyo and requests her help. Yoyo tells him to give her 5 bottles of jade wine each day, and she will help him, but he makes her understand that the wine is too strong and may destroy her body. They settle for 1 bottle, and she instructs her pet dog, Tunten, to demonstrate the moves for Yuan, and Tunten does the move perfectly. Yuan realizes that the key to getting the technique is by breathing in unison with your body. He starts the exercise moves once again, and this time, he perfects it as his body heats up to his core, but he does not give up. He gathers his Yuan energy, and before long, he hits the 1st principle over and over again. Earlier, Yoyo warned Yuan that he cannot keep going with the training because it is too strong, but Yuan tells her that he is yet to reach his limit. Yoya watches with rapt attention as Yuan continues the training and does the technique 4 more times, which is surprising because people can rarely do that. Yuan reaches his limit after the 4th attempt and stops trying. But he excitedly tells Yoyo that he can feel his first principle, which was locked before moving easily. Because of that, Yuan feels like he may not need a month, but 10 days to unlock his first principle. Yoya was impressed by all he has done since they met, and she tells him that maybe her grandfather underestimated his abilities before. Yuan wonders about the kind of pet that Tuntun might be because it can swallow rocks, and Yoyo tells him the pet's rank. Yuan becomes afraid of it and offers it his meal to eat. He begs Yoyo to save him from the pet dog anytime it attempts to eat him, and she promises to try. Yuan feels reluctant to stop his training, so he asks Yoyo to teach him Yuan imprints. She tries to bargain for extra bottles of wine, but he refuses her request because it can harm her. Yoyo accepts defeat and begins to teach him all he needs to know before she can show him how to use the Tier 1 Yuan imprints. Yuan encounters the print left by his master, Kang Yuan. Yoyo has already told him that it is not like what he is used to, and it will draw him in, but he was never prepared for what he experienced. After feeling dizzy for a while, Zhao Yuan saw that his surroundings had changed. He looks around and sees a very beautiful view, away from all he has ever known, and he wonders if it is the chaotic God's view. The chaos of the dimension is so powerful that it devours time and space, and everything in the dimension is devoured by a giant grinder. A set of chants suddenly appeared in Zhao Yuan's thoughts, and he remembers why Yoyo told him earlier to conquer his fears before practicing, especially since he has now seen the giant grinder. Zhao Yuan refuses to allow fear to prevail. Instead, he decides to do whatever he has to do to survive. Zhao Yuan notices a strong light coming his way, and he readies himself for the impact. His soul was sucked in, and a horrifying pain erupted within his soul. When Zhao Yuan regains consciousness, he tells Yoyo that he suffered in the grinder 88 times, even though the average person can only do 10. She tells him to light up the first mark on his brush before their next session. Zhao Yuan continues his practice outside the mansion, but he requests for the items he will need to light up the first mark of his brush. As soon as the items are delivered to him, he carefully examines them and decides that the Yuan brush would be able to conveniently absorb the monster core crystal. He started the process, and after some time the Yuan mark began to glow gradually. Zhao Yuan continues to try the technique, and after the brush has absorbed 8 monster core crystals, the brush showed no reaction and its glow returned to normal. After the process, he goes to the academy to search for Wei. In the academy, he searches for Wei and finally finds her in the library. Wei turns to him and tells him that he has probably heard that Cheek wants her to join the academy, and he affirms it. She tells Yuan that he has been bothering her non-stop, and it is annoying. Yuan tries to comfort her, and she reveals the offer that Cheek made to her, which she refused. Wei tells Yuan that she will attend the Zhou Academy if he is attending. As they continue talking, Lin Feng, who is also eligible for first place, walks up to Wei and asks her to have dinner with him. Lin Feng sees Yuan with Wei, and he is silently offended and angry that they are walking together. Wei politely greets him and apologizes that she will not be able to be with him. He walks off after telling her that they can go another time. As he retreats, he meets his second young master, Cheek, who mocks him for hitting on Wei. He tells Lin Feng that even though Yuan is yet to unlock his abilities to start cultivating, he is still a prince and he has helped Wei before, so Lin Feng cannot easily gain her attention when she has Yuan. Chi Kui tries to pacify Lin Feng that Yuan is no better than him except for his status, but aside from his status as a prince, he is almost useless from his lack of abilities. Lin Feng believes that even though Wei is from a poor family, she is talented and in future, she will show everyone her abilities, and for that reason, he will not give up. Chi Kui informs him that he tried winning her over to Yi Academy, but she refused. Chi Kui tells Lin Feng that he will help him get Wei. At the competition, he plans to manipulate the process for Lin Feng so that he can beat Yuan and prove to Wei that Yuan is worthless. Meanwhile, Yuan returns home to practice every day, and on one such day, the Yuan brush's first marking lights up. Zhou Yuan examines the brush and sees that the first Yuan imprint turned the brush into its spear form. He excitedly tries it out and remembers that Kang Yuan told him that it is both a weapon and a brush. The brush transforms into a large and heavy spear, by drawing from all the prominent energy around that it can tap from. Jo Yuan is highly impressed at the Yuan brush and its soft glow and carefully examines it. Jo Yuan resolves to learn some spear techniques to use the spear form. He tries it with a nearby object, and though it is heavy, it proves efficient to him. Jo Yuan thinks that it should be a mid-tier weapon in a spear form and wonders what it would be when all the 9 markings are lit up. Yoeo comes to meet him, and he tells her that he has finally been able to light up the first marking, and he also broke through the shapeless realm. He pleads with her to teach him the Yuan imprints as promised, and she requests for her wine. Yuan sneaks a bottle from his father's collection for her, and also feeds Tuntun. Yoeo starts the lessons for the Tier 1 imprint, and uses the Yuan brush as an example. Yuan tries his best to pay attention, and learn so that he can enter the Zhou Academy, and help his father rule the country. Zhao Yuan dedicates his time to training hard. While cultivating his Yuan Qi and practicing Yuan imprints, he also learns the sword technique moves for the spear form of his imprint brush. Also, with his hard work, he quickly attains another important level in his cultivation. The day has finally come to unlock his first meridian, and he effortlessly plays the 98 dragon stances with plentiful Yuan Qi from the surroundings. He starts to feel the block in his first meridian giving way, and slowly he unlocks it. Zhou Yuan basks in the feeling of unlocking his first meridian and instructs someone to notify his parents. The speed of the process of unlocking the meridian has never been witnessed in the Empire before Yuan tried it. His parents are extremely proud of him and all he has achieved despite the difficulties. Yuan promises his mother to find a way to suppress his poison since he can now cultivate it, which makes her happy. His father invited him to spar with him, and even though he is no match for his father's expert techniques, his father observes that he is more swift and efficient than someone that has unlocked 2 meridians. Yuan reads books on Yuan techniques, but Yoeo reveals to him that he has passed the stage of the basic books because the dragon stance he learned has hidden Yuan techniques. Zhou Yuan is astonished at the information that he has just learned. She tells him that there are 2 hidden techniques in his dragon stance, which are the dragon strike and the drain steps. Zhou Yuan asks Yoeo to teach him more tips. He brings out a jug of wine, and she tells him that he is worthy of being taught. Yoeo instructs Tuntun to perform a technique and tells Yuan that her grandfather taught Tuntun when he was bored so it can be considered as Yuan's elder. Yuan tells Yoeo that with all the dog pet knows, he is practically a man in the form of a beast. He pleads with Tuntun to teach him the dragon step technique, but the dog pet refuses. Yuan gives it a plate of jerky in exchange for the lessons, and the Tuntun happily complies with Yuan. Yuan observes Tuntun's movements and the way it is almost impossible to see its movements in blurry motion. Yoeo explains that dragons fly in the sky and they are rarely seen, so the dragon steps must flow in a likewise manner. She orders Yuan to try to attack Tuntun, but Yuan is unable to attack it because he cannot see Tuntun moving. Yoeo teaches him the dragon strike also, and Yuan masters them by looking just once. The day of the competition is close at hand, and Yuan did not stop to rest for any reason. Instead, he continuously practiced the dragon dance and also tried to unlock his second meridian every time. During the night, Yuan cultivates in the chaotic grinder, and no matter how drained he is, his hard work is always rewarded by replenishing energy after spending the night in the grinder. Yoeo continues to support him by giving him constant lessons. Coupled with his constant practice with the dragon strikes and dragon steps, Yuan was improving non-stop. A few days before the beginning of the competition, with his difficult training and discipline, Yuan unlocks his second meridian to the joy of his parents. The dragon strike technique had 3 stages, and due to unlocking his second meridian, he now has the power of one of those stages to break stones. Before the competition, Yuan thinks to himself that he has to enter the top 10 so that he can make it to the Zhou Academy for the sake of Wei and his father, because of their enemies. At the venue of the competition, Yuan meets up with Wei for a chat while Lin Feng and Qi fume in anger that he dares to attend. The announcer announces that every competitor will draw a number, to be faced by anyone who draws the same number as them. Among the spectators, Elder Shihong and Dean Chu get into an altercation as one confronts the other about the students they will get to win their academy. Elder Shi boasts that the Zhou Academy will have no students to choose from the top 10 as the Yi Academy already convinced the top students to join them. Dean Chu worries about what Elder Shi said because Qi Kui offers the students a lot of opportunities and he wins them over. His last hope is for Wei to do well so that he will train her in the Zhou faction. He believes in Yuan, but he knows that Yuan can only do so little because he thinks Yuan has only one meridian since the time they met. Wei and Yuan picked their numbers, and thankfully, they did not pick the same numbers. The announcer began to call the students in pairs to the stage to begin a round. Soon, it was Yuan's turn, and he was matched up with Pai Yun, who unlocked his third meridian. Yuan figures that Cheek has a hand in the match and everyone murmurs that he will be disgraced, but he enters the round and kicks Pai Yun out of the arena to everyone's surprise. Everyone, including the masters, is talking about Yuan's outstanding performance. Cheek is livid that Pai Yun underestimated Yuan's abilities and promised that the second round will not come easy for him no matter the trick he decides to use. Dean Shu wonders how Yuan was able to perform the kick, because even a level 3 person cannot exude such strength. Wei cheers for Yuan and asks him to confess how many meridians he has unlocked, but Yuan is rather humble about his abilities. Wei tells him that it is okay for him not to tell her how he did it. Soon, it was her turn, and she was paired with a new student who was scared of Wei. Wei won the round effortlessly, and the first round continued. Soon, the second round commenced, and it was Yuan's turn again. Yuan's opponent activates 3 meridians to fight Yuan because he cannot take chances. Everyone decides to be attentive to Yuan's skills because they did not watch him enough in the first round. They commence the round and Yuan starts with Dragon Steps. Yuan dodges his opponent's attack and sends one of his own. His opponent falls to his knees and he is unable to get up. Instead, he gives up. Cheek grows angry again and vows that Ling Feng must take him out. The atmosphere remains exciting in the competition arena. The next 2 rounds that Zhou Yuan contested and won were against people with 3 meridians. If he manages to win his next round, he will make the top 20, which will give him a shot at the top 10. Su Yui is also not slacking as she actively competes and makes it to the top 10. Everyone is impressed at Wei's jade smashing finger technique, and they cannot stop talking about how she executed it. Yuan tells Wei that her performance is amazing, and he proceeds to his round. Yuan is matched with Lin Feng, who is everyone's favorite in the competition, but Yuan's ability has equally caught everyone's eye, even though it was very unexpected since everyone looked down on him. Wei regrets that Yuan is paired with Lin Feng because he is one of the only people with 4 meridians in the school and he is powerful. Yuan enters the arena without fear, but Dean Chu sees through Chiku's plans and vows to get the referee in charge of the rounds dismissed. Lin Feng does not plan on making it easy for Yuan as he activates all 4 meridians to face Yuan. He wonders how Yuan managed to get past all the other rounds, but he is not about to let him pass again, so he begins to block Yuan. Lin Feng hates the fact that Yuan is neither scared of him nor attempting to give up, and he vows to destroy Yuan in front of everyone that is watching. Lin Feng and Yuan activate different layers of imprints on their hands and legs to go at each other again. By the sidelines, Chi Kui is content with himself at what he has done and feels that Yuan does not know what is coming for him. Lin Feng's power solely exists in his defenses, unlike other people that are good at the offense, and Chi Kui thinks he will use that to his advantage against Yuan. Yuan activates multiple layers of his techniques, and Lin Feng activates a barrier which is difficult as it can go against the user. Lin Feng mockingly tells Yuan that it will be embarrassing for him to lose with his attack, but Yuan is not fazed by the comments. The Lion's Roar imprint deafens everyone in the arena and shakes Lin Feng pretty hard since he is directly in contact with it. At the last minute, he sees the additional imprint on Yuan, but it is too late. Yuan breaks through the demon barrier to the shock and surprise of everyone in the arena, and he defeats Lin Feng. Cheek and his faction are all surprised at the insane amount of strength that Yuan has, and Dean Chu is overjoyed. Everyone in the arena cannot stop talking about Lin Feng's loss to the prince. Yuan goes to Wei and asks her how he performed and if she is impressed by his charm. She accuses him because she was worried that he was facing a strong opponent. With the strength that Yuan has been exuding, many began to speculate that he may likely finish in the first place. Ang Hu stands with Chi Ke and rants continuously that Yuan is cocky, and even though he defeated Lin Feng, he is in no position to match up against Chi Ke. Chi Kui tells Ang Hu to relax because it will not be the end of their battle if he joins the Jiu faction. After all, at the year-end competition, he will put Yuan in his place. By that time, Chi Kui thinks that the entire Jiu Academy will be in his hands. The exciting competition came to an end, and it was time to share the winners into different factions. The students were told that they can join either the Yi or the Jiu faction as it pleases them. Elder Shi tries to convince the students and some join the Yi faction. Wei and Yuan join the Jia faction with another student. At home, the emperor praises Yuan and thanks Yoyo for her help. Chi plans with his father how to stop Yuan's progress and take over the throne. Yuan, Wei, and the other student that picked Jia Academy resume at the Jia faction. Yang Zai introduced himself to the new people as the leader of the Jia faction, and Song Qushuan also introduced herself. She praised Yuan for his skills at the competition and tells them that with the three of them, she is sure their faction will grow stronger. Dean Shu interrupts their introduction and announces that since they are all acquainted, their training will now be harder. Yuan wonders what sort of training would possibly get harder since their training is already hard enough. Dean Shu tells them that if they do not work harder, they will not be able to attain the 6 meridians or stand any chance in fights. He instructs them to prepare for the spiritual falls, which is a great spot for cultivation in the academy. The students visit the spiritual falls, which can effectively help their chi and keep them going even if they have reached their limits since it has jade. Each faction gets an allotted time in the spiritual falls, and Yuan plans to use it in full. The seniors entered, but they'd barely spent more than 15 minutes because of the intensity. Yuan and the others entered, and he held on with the energy in his chi, and he slowly began to feel the impact. Zhao Yuan began to ease into the process, and he feels like at the rate he is going, he will break into his 3rd meridian soon enough. Zhou Yuan and Wei tried their best to hold on for long, but after a while, they were not able to continue. Yuan and Wei bicker with one another because Wei thinks that Yuan was staring at her wet clothes. Dean Chu commends them for their effort as first-timers and tells them that for the first time in Jade Falls, they are doing something good. Wei and Yuan pledge to keep trying their best. The seniors are also impressed with Yuan and Wei's abilities, and they accuse both of them of hiding their abilities. As they hang around the Jade Falls, the Yi faction passes by them, and they make sarcastic remarks at them that if they cannot hold out for long at the Jade Falls, then the Jia faction is a waste. Yuan tells the Yi faction members to stop interrupting them because it is not yet their turn. He asks them how long they lasted in the Jade Falls during their first time, and they began to boast. Yuan enters the Jade Falls again, and his body slowly adjusts to it. His 3rd meridian starts to budge within him with the power of the Jade Essence. After others got out of the Jade Fall within 30 minutes, Yuan remained there, and they became scared that something happened to him. But he emerges from the Jade Fall much later after breaking through his 3rd meridian. Yuan emerges to meet his mates, and they clap for his effort. He has spent approximately an hour in the Jade Falls because of the Jade Essence in his chi. Yuan is excited that he can achieve something good, and he is grateful for his luck. Everyone is surprised that he broke through his 3rd meridian because he broke through the 2nd one not long before then. Members of the Yi faction began to make sarcastic comments, but he shuts them up and tells them to watch in silence or leave the place. In the last 2 years, Cheek has been a great problem for the students of the Jia faction, but with Yuan's arrival, they feel that they can now overcome him. Yuan encourages everyone to go for another session in the Jade Falls, and everyone joins him again. He goes for another full hour without hurting from the effect. Chiqua discusses with Ang Hu that they have to fight to have the Jia faction's time at the Jade Fall cut short because it is beneficial to them. After half a month at the academy, Yuan's 4th meridian starts to budge, and he hangs out with Yoyo to gain more knowledge from her. Yoyo helps Zhou Yuan with a perfect ice and fire absorption imprint, which will help him to be more effective in his cultivation. Zhou Yuan thinks about how it will be perfect for Wei, and he pleads with Yoyo to make one for Wei so that she can advance into her 5th meridian, but Yoyo tells him not to think of it. Yuan tells her that she can come with him to the academy since the palace gets boring, and she agrees. Meanwhile, Cheek and Ang Hu are still planning with the other factions on how to shorten the Jia faction's time at the Jade Falls. Everyone admires Yoyo's beauty and compliments her. Yuan leads her to Wei and tells Wei that Yoyo can help her with the absorption imprint. Yuan stands guard for them outside the door, and Yoyo and Wei remain inside the room to commence the drawing. They both get to know each other and ask questions about themselves as Yoyo draws the absorption imprint on her body. When she was done, Wei steps out, and Yuan observes that there is a new energy coming from her body like the yin and yang. Outside, the faction leader angrily announces to the members of the Jia faction that Chiqua is rallying support from the other factions to cut off their resources. This time, Yuan knows that Chiqua has crossed his boundary. If you like this recap, do let me know in the comments, and obviously leave your like too. Do not forget to share with your friends and subscribe. Above all, activate your notification bell so you don't miss the next recap when it drops. Until next time, do take care and stay safe.